Jananam sukadam maranam karunam milanam maduram smaranam karunam kalavashadiha sakalam karunam samayadipate akilam karunam. Good evening, everyone. Who is a leader? Any human being who can impact, in my perception, anybody who can impact a few other lives around them is a leader. We have strange ideas about leadership. But I would say a simple homemaker is a leader because she impacts a few lives in a profound manner. A vegetable seller on the street could be a leader because every day he has an opportunity to impact dozens of people. Just about anybody can be a leader because everybody, whoever has contact with other human beings, he could be a possible leader if he chooses to impact them in a positive manner. We as a nation, unfortunately, have had a very bad deal with leadership. What India lacks is leadership. India as a nation, as a people, in many ways we are phenomenally talented, but never led properly, because we are always waiting for somebody else to lead us. If a good leader appears in the horizon, you will see everybody worshipping him. But a good leader cannot be functional unless there are many tiers of leadership which will reinforce and support him to be an effective leader. So in many ways, we have not strived to create leadership in the social structure. We are hoping that they will fall upon us from the skies, for which we are paying a very hefty price in the country. If you want to become a leader in this country, if you can gather 100 people behind you, go and sit on the Mysore-Bangalore road, stop the road, close the road for 3 days, you will become a leader. Yes. You don't have to build a road to become a leader, you just have to know how to block it. Because we have a whole culture in the nation of becoming leaders by closing down towns, by closing down roads, by closing down railways or shutting down water. You know, you heard all those things, rail roko, rasta roko, band, hartal. This is how a lot of them have become leaders. These are two different kinds of technologies. The technology of stopping a nation, the technology of making a nation happen. These are two different things. Making something happen is one kind of technology. Stopping something from happening is another kind of technology. Largely, our leadership is still coming from the mindset of pre-1947, when our only intention was somehow to stop it. Make the lives of the administrators difficult. That was our only goal. But we are still not able to get over the hangover. Even now, there are state governments filing suits in Supreme Court that they should have the right to call for a bandh, that you should have an administration is asking for a right to shut down the nation. So, we need to look at this. This is because we are in a state of imitation. Mahatma Gandhi did something, you want to do the same thing today, not realizing the situation is dramatically changed. Can I tell you a story? You're getting very serious. Why are you all in darkness? Can't you light them up? Okay. Leadership means coming out of darkness. That's the first step. In the early 20th century, this happened. There was a man whose name was Topiwala. Topiwala means selling hats. You know, people take up the name of their profession as their second name. Topiwala, Dabawala, Daruwala, there's so many kinds. So this is a Topiwala, selling hats. So going from village to village in the tropical heat, selling hats. One afternoon, he felt very exhausted, went and sat under a tree, opened his packed lunch, ate, and dozed off. After some time, he woke up and looked. All the hats were gone. He was distraught. He looked all over the place, where are my hats? Nowhere. When you don't know what to do, what do? Look up for leadership. He looked up. There he saw a bunch of monkeys sitting with hats on. Looking at them, he screamed. They screamed back at him. He abused them. They abused him in their own language. He picked up whatever he could and threw it at them. They picked up whatever they could and threw it back at him. Not knowing what to do, out of sheer frustration, he took his hat and flung it on the ground. All the monkeys took their hats and flung it on the ground. He picked up his hats and went about his business. 2011, September 23rd, another Topiwala was going village to village selling hats. In the afternoon, he came and sat under a tree. He opened his lunch, ate, promptly fell asleep. After some time, he came awake, looked, hats were gone. He did not look here and there, he looked straight up. He saw a bunch of monkeys sitting with hats on. He got up and jived. All the monkeys jived, made funny faces. They all made funny faces, or funnier faces. He had all the fun he wanted to have with the monkeys. When he was done, he took his hat and flung it on the ground. A baboon of a monkey quickly came down the tree, picked up the hat, walked up to him, gave a tight slap in his face and said, "You idiot, you think only you had a grandfather?" So, people think they can become leaders by imitating somebody. Doesn't work like that. Leader means you are able to see something that others are not able to see. You are able to do something that others are not able to do by themselves. That's when you become a leader. I feel nobody should aspire to become a leader. If you enhance your capabilities, people will look up to you as a leader. You don't have the necessary stuff, but you aspire to become a leader, then all kinds of tyrannical things happen. Wanting to be a leader when you're not one is a terrible thing. It's a tragedy of our nation, isn't it? So if you think, if you believe that your work is important, the first and foremost thing that you do is you enhance this one. If you are a leader, what it means is, whatever you do, it impacts somebody's life. The very way you think is going to impact somebody's life, the way you feel is going to impact somebody's life, for sure your actions will impact somebody's life. When such a privilege and such a responsibility has been conferred upon you, the first and foremost thing that you need to do is to work upon yourself. If you think the work that you're doing is important, first thing that you do is you start working upon yourself, not trying to do great things in the world. You don't have to do any great things. If you are substantially enhanced, whatever you do will be looked up to. Instead of enhancing this one, you want to put on a show in front of people. This will lead to a different kind of leadership. They don't want you as a leader, but you want to be a leader. Every day you're seeing this, isn't it? You know, I was conducting a program for the top 40 executives of Microsoft. And you know, Isha Foundation is a 100% volunteer organization. We are over 2 million volunteers. So I had 11 of them on that day. They were running around doing things. Always our volunteers are an inspired force. Day or night, they're on. Because I'm generally on day or night. So, these are executives who are always hiring and firing people. They're always inspiring attrition in other companies. That's their job. They looked at these people, and then they asked, Sadhguru, where do you get these people? I said, you don't get them, you have to make them. How do you make them? I said, you have to make them fall in love with you. How do we do that? First, you have to fall in love with them. Oh, they don't pay us for that. So leadership is not about you wanting to be a leader. If the way you live, the way you exist and the way you do things are such that people will fall in love with it, naturally 1,000 people will gather around you. So if there is something that needs to be done in the society at that time, you stand up and do it. I'll give you a simple example.